All right, welcome back to the another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. I'm Casey Campbell. Thank you so much for joining us. And this week, and our guest is today Ryan Vargas, who drives the number 6 for JD Motorsports, and most importantly, he's going full time in 2021. That's a big announcement for you, full time, because I know I've known you for a long time, and I know how hard you've worked to get to this point. What's it like to finally be here, knowing in 1 week you're going to be down at Daytona, running full time in the Xfinity Series?
It still hasn't set in. I don't think it will set in until we get to Daytona. It's been such a roller coaster over the last few weeks, just getting all these things figured out and finalized, working on, partners and so on and so forth. It's just, you know, it's kind of funny. I say how hard I've been working over the off season. I mean, the work has only doubled at this point now, and it's a good work. It's good to be busy on stuff like this because it means I'm in a race car, and I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big deal for you, of course. A lot you've got a lot of people's attention. I think I'll get to last year in a minute, but want to also ask you about a lot of the other things you're doing that you did during the off season. You're putting all these iRacing leagues together and being active on social media. What has that been like for you to kind of grow your personality a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's just part of it. I love being as active as I am on social, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. Um, I just have fun. I'm a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of everything that goes into racing, and I just like showing that to people that I'm just another fan that's very, very, very lucky to do what I do. Um, and I kind of just try to be. I want to be the person that when one day when fans are allowed back in the garage area, I want to be the guy that fans walk up to and can have a regular conversation with, because I think that's just the most important thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned it in your answer, and that kind of leads into my next question, of course. You just said it. TikTok, of course, they came on a little bit last year with you, the last 6 races of the Xfinity season, and you got a lot of attention through that. A lot of NASCAR drivers are going on TikTok. Of course, NASCAR is on TikTok. Do you feel like you kind of help us set that off a little bit with because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I was reading about TikTok actually grew among NASCAR fans because of you.
Yeah, no, I mean there was a good amount of growth amongst NASCAR fans with TikTok, and I think that was the goal with the partnership, and we succeeded with flying colors. It was such an honor to really represent such a big brand on and off the racetrack, and even to this day, I still have a really good relationship with those guys, and we're working on a lot of things too. It's just so cool. It's still to this day, like I look at that render of the car on the wall back there, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, it's just one of those things that just doesn't seem real. Like, it's TikTok is now, it's the number one app right now. It's one of the biggest global platforms out there, period. Rivaling all the big names. And I think that's what's super cool, is to be a small part in that. And to have had, you know, that platform, everyone at that platform have my back, which is pretty cool. They they've really just jumped into this, head first. They did their research on me, they did their research on the sport, and it led to a very organic and genuine partnership. And I think that's what was the most fun part about it.
Okay, so the $1 million question is, obviously, when you go full time, you need sponsorship to kind of do it. Obviously, if you and TikTok have obviously had those conversations, do you think that are we maybe close to having something put together between you two? And I know you told me before you don't have anything to announce yet, but are we close on new partners? And could we see TikTok back with you this year?
Yeah, we're working on a lot of things. TikTok is one of them. It's just, it all comes down to conversations and, making all these things happen and making everything, you know, be beneficial for everyone. Um, at the end of the day, though, racing does come down to the sponsor dollars, and that's something that's been tough for me to get. But I'll say this, for any person that kind of is wants to support those who legitimately support the sport and support the drivers, TikTok is one of those that you need to look at. They wanted to sponsor me because I'm me. They didn't want to sponsor me because, you know, I'm a winning driver, or I got a big famous last name or whatever. They jumped on because I was an authentic user of the platform, and they just have provided such a unique platform for so many creators, including myself, to have so many opportunities. And with what TikTok did last year, they provided an opportunity for me to drive race cars. So it's opened up so many doors, and I'm excited to see where this goes. And just still to this day, working on getting more partners throughout the year.
I know you've had kind of during the interview, I noticed you kind of thought about what you have gone through to get to this point. Of course, after 18 and the next program, and after everything that happened with at Rev, and then to driving late models and then getting involved with JD Motorsports. What's been the biggest thing that you've learned in the last 3 years to get to where you are now?
I would say this: the best piece of advice that I'd ever gotten was from Mike Davis at Junior Motorsports. I met him at the driver seminar in early 2018 and kind of kept that contact and still have that contact to this day. And I refer to him a lot, with just some of the advice he gave me. And I went to not JD, Junior Motorsports at the end of 2018, 18. And I scheduled a meeting with Mike Davis. I sat down in there and I said, I'm not here to ask for a ride. I'm not here to put my name in. I'm not here to do any of that. I'm here to ask for advice. What do I need to do to stay in the sport and stay relevant? And the first thing he said was to keep your face in the garage area, stay relevant, be active, drive anything and everything. Well, last year, when we came back from the pandemic, even though I wasn't racing, I was working on Jeff Earnhardt's car as one of his crew guys. Same thing with, I worked on the 6 car as well with BJ and Wayne. So it's just, I wanted to prove to people that I wanted this. Because like I said, I don't have the last name. I don't have the backing behind me, and that's totally fine. For those who do have that, I'm not knocking either of that down, but that's just something I don't have. That's something that I haven't been able to use. And so I feel very strongly that me spending that in the garage area last year was very influential in terms of, just how a lot of things went. When I signed the contract for TikTok jumping on my car, which literally probably one of the biggest sponsored announcements of the year last year, one of them, not just for myself, but for the sport, really. I was signing that while I was doing tire pressures for BJ's car. So, that's just how it was. And it helped me gain a lot of respect and make incredible new relationships.
What is something that I know that you kind of get emotional when thinking about everything that you've been through, and I kind of saw it right there. Mm-hmm. Are you an emotional person a little bit? Do you ever get do you ever get excited or get down about stuff? Like, what's your personality like on the race, off the racetrack? What are you?
Yeah. I'm very, serious when it comes to doing work and stuff like that, and how I go about things. I'm here for one thing and one thing only, and that's to drive race cars. I don't care if I'm running first or 31st. I want to drive race cars. That's where I want to be. That's where I'm my happiest. And I could tell you this: when I finished 8th at Texas, the best finish for myself that year, first finish ever, JD's best finish last year. I cried a lot. That was a heck of a race. A statement was made that day. We had a JD Motorsports car with one of the biggest social media platforms in the world on the car, and went out there and finished top 10 against some of the biggest teams in the sport. And I think that was a statement right there.
Do you feel like that is, do you feel like after that race, did you feel like I can do this?
Um, yeah, yeah, I did. I felt that way really after Iowa when I first made my first start. I since Iowa in 2019, I haven't had that real question of can I do this. Um, since Iowa, I've kind of had the mentality of I need to do this. That's my mentality. I need to be in a race car, and that's for myself. I've done so much work, lost so much sleep, and had so many horrible days trying to find things to make things work that I would be doing a disservice to myself, my family, those who have supported me, and those who have given me advice, like Mike Davis at Junior Motorsports. I'd be doing a disservice to all those people who have given me their time if I didn't try.
What out of between 2018 and this year, what's been the toughest part to overcome to get to where you are?
I would say toughest part to overcome is just putting a lot of things out of my mind. Um, I I mean, you look at last year; it was a very successful year, but we only ran 9 races. I ran 9 races of a 33 race schedule. I spent a lot of time on the sidelines watching race cars go around me, and it definitely lit a fire in me that I hadn't had before. It made me want it far more than I had experienced. I remember sitting at Dover and having the first conversations of TikTok really start coming about, and that was when it hit me. It was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I want to do. And I'm just very, very excited to see what happens.
Um, if you could, trying to think of what, if you could tell yourself something 5 years ago from now, what would it be?
You're going to have a whole lot more bad days than good ones, but the good ones are going to be but the good ones are going to be the reason why you endure the bad ones.
Do you feel like racing is an escape for you from everything?
100%. 100%. When you drive a race car, you don't think about things, you think about driving.
Yeah.
And I crave that.
Okay, so this year, Johnny Davis has, for the first time in team history, 4 cars with 4 full-time drivers. That is quite an accomplishment. And obviously, you yourself, and these are 4 guys that have had a lot of bumps in the road. You look at from Jeffrey Earnhardt to Landon Castle, yourself, and Colby Howard. The 4 of you have had a lot of ups and downs in your careers. And they're all different stories a little bit. What's it been like, working with the 3 of them?
Yeah, I haven't had really the chance to talk with Landon, directly yet. But I have worked with Jeffrey obviously a lot, and Colby. Last year I was leaning heavily on, BJ McLeod and Justy Little. I say this all the time. BJ is one of the most underrated drivers in the sport right now. Same goes for Jeffrey. I mean, there's so much experience with both Landon and Jeffrey that I think that's going to help their team. Those 2 cars individually grow immensely, continue to grow. But I think you're also going to see that trickle down to both me and Colby. You're going to see that. You're going to see a difference in us from the beginning of the year to 4 or 5 races down the road. You're going to see a difference between our demeanors, how we go about races. And you're going to see a lot of camaraderie amongst us. We all work really well together. I mean, we're in a group chat, and I said it, just the other day when I was on a podcast where, we're in a group chat and they were like, have you talked any strategy yet? I'm like, yeah, we talked a little bit, but mainly we're just in a group chat to bully Colby. So, I mean, it's like, that's just us. Like, we all get along really well. So I'm very excited to work with all these guys.
Okay. Okay. I know every kid when they're young, Every kid that wants to be a stock car driver wants to drive at Daytona. Now you're going to have that opportunity next Saturday. And I know you've had super speedway experience from driving at Talladega last year, but you never know what's going to happen at Daytona. You know, it's all about chance and luck and trying to avoid the big wreck and all that. And it's also the opening race of the year. What's that going to be like trying to get through all that and the emotions of driving at Daytona? Do you think that you might get emotional saying that I'm driving at Daytona?
I mean, I've driven at Daytona. I haven't raced at Daytona yet, and that's racing at Daytona has been my dream since I started racing. Um, so it's definitely going to be a big bucket list item right off the bat. But you know, when you're there, when you're in a race car, you're there to race. You don't think about what's around you. You know, like I'll tell you this: not having fans at many races was definitely eerie, and it felt wrong. But when you're in the car, you don't think about it.
Right.
And that's the same thing when you're in a car anywhere else, at Talladega, Texas, Darlington, wherever. You don't think about it. You just do. And that's just kind of how I've been with all this stuff. I'm very ecstatic to be racing at these places. And I mean, like I said, Daytona's a dream race of mine. But also when you're in a race car, you're not thinking about, oh my God, I'm at Daytona. You're thinking, all right, how do I get by this guy?
Yeah. So, what it's so much about strategy and stuff, and I know the four of you have talked about it. Well, kind of. But is there really like what's the plan? Are you just gonna like maybe run up front trying to get it there, go to the back and see what happens there, and then try to maybe come back 40 laps to go or something like that, and maybe go for it if you avoid the big one or something? What's your strategy heading in there? Or do you?
Yeah, I mean, we just got to be conservative. We got to be smart. You know, we got to use these cars again, and we got to finish well enough in points. So I think, going into this race, you're going to see us be playing a bit of a smart strategy, just trying to stay away from any crazy messes, just to get through the race. As there's this quote that I always reference. It's to finish first, you must first finish. And I think as long as we're running on the final lap, we're going to have ourselves a good day.
Yeah. All right. Ryan Vargas, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck this next week at Daytona. And I'm sure we'll be talking with you again.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.